Hey, it's John Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. Badge, now a podcast star, navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah, ask your traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Backwards. Why? Oh, I know what's going on. I didn't, what didn't I do? Oh, I set this up on a new computer. Let me fix this because this is going to be really annoying. Video. Don't mirror the camera. Thank you very much. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I was live streaming until last night at the wee hours because that's what I do every Tuesday. That's what I do every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. And it's pretty cool because we get to talk about stuff and things, in a really relaxed environment, which is basically my basement. Yeah, let's see if I can raise the chair a little bit. I put the Sean Shapiro, former police officer, in larger print because someone made the comment that, you know what? Someone could become confused and think that you are misrepresenting yourself. And I'm like, I don't think that's possible, but just to avoid any potential complications or confusion, we'd unmake it big. If you're watching, this is a show that is something I do to make roads safer, to help people understand stuff and things about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. If you want to know that, the answer to your question, specifically about Ontario, but we'll talk about anything, drop it into the comments. And if you want to join the show live right here on screen, you can do that too. You can also do it by voice only if you're a little camera shy. But you can do that by sending me an email to askatrafficcop@thegmail.com. Let me know who you are, what you want to talk about, and we can make that happen. Okay. Let's make that a little brighter. I got lots of displays here. Something really cool that I did not know was a thing that I learned last night while messing around with the computer is that you can have two Macintosh computers side by side. And you can roll your mouse across the screen that's connected to one and onto the computer screen of the other seamlessly. You can also use the same keyboard on both computers based on where your cursor is, which is possibly the very coolest thing I've ever experienced. Like, without question. Okay, I want to just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if to whomever is watching on whatever channel you're on. Let me know if the audio is working okay. I should probably grab my iPad so I can double check the stream. Something that I normally do, but I've been, playing with the new toy, which is the new Mac Mini. I picked up a Mac Mini to be the new streaming machine. If you've been watching along, I was using my buddies to test it out. It worked just fine. I liked it a lot. And thus I invested in one for the studio. So it always has its own computer. And now I have lots and lots and lots of real estate here to work with. We've got the Clapper Dranger, that 07 Clapper Oh, clapped ranger, or I don't know where to put the space in the, but they want to know what I think about speed cameras. We'll talk about that in a moment. What are the penalties about radar detectors? We'll talk about that. Ethan says it's too early to be live. It's never too early to talk about traffic. Come on. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I used to work in Toronto, and now I operate something called Better Traffic. Well, it's the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. It's a not-for-profit, and the goal is to make roads safer through education. My goal here is to educate people who want the information. That's all I'm doing, is providing information. What you do with it is up to you. That said, I operate with the assistance of magical companies like Diamond and Diamond. Yes, personal injury lawyers. They do all sorts of law, but you'll see their logo in the background along with Barrett Legal. They're magical people who help make this show possible. So if you want to support the show, by all means, you can go and do business with them because they're there to be done business with. But you can also go to askatrafficcop.ca or bettertraffic.ca. You can make donations if you feel the mood, to do so, and no pressure there. Let's get into some questions or comments. First, we've got Brandon first in, who says, "Good morning, Sean, and I hope you are all having an amazing day." Sean and all, he means you too. He's hoping for good things. He's currently in California because he came into the live stream last night and told me. That's how I know. So we hope you're doing well and that the weather is cooperating. Give my brother a high five if you see him. Paul says, "Hello, Sean. Hello, all. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, Paul." Wayne saying much of the same. Morning, Sean. Stephen Bell back in the, he was here last night. He's back this morning. Hi, good morning, Sean, from Stephen. If you're wondering why their comments are on screen, it's because they're coming through YouTube, or they're coming through LinkedIn, or they're coming through X. Those are the platforms that integrate perfectly with the Restream platform that we use. Good morning, Melody. I just saw you pop it on TikTok. We are multi-streaming, so X.com, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube, all simultaneously. And wherever you are welcome to join in, ask questions, and participate. If you want to watch replays, YouTube has them all. I also upload these as podcasts later. What else? Oh. Brandon says he's on Disney time, so not too early for me. Yes, California. What are you talking about? Not too early for you. Is it not? Isn't it like 6? No, what time is it for you? But either way, is good. Is good. Disney is always a good time. Okay. Ethan says, "Whoa, news to me." Oh. What is this? Okay, we're going to go back and jump into the whole question because the conversation's kicking off all on its own. I'll start off with penalties for possession of a radar detector. They're prohibited in Ontario. Some provinces do allow them, and Johnny quite rightly says it is illegal, and they can be seized. So you lose the device, and some of them are pretty pricey, and you also get a $170 fine. So maybe don't have one. You can't buy them, sell them, transport them. The only way you can legally transport a radar detector in the province of Ontario is when you are the manufacturer shipping it through a consignee to the end user outside of the province. I don't think they should even manufacture them. I think it's a product that shouldn't exist. But that also goes for anything that prevents police from accurately measuring your speed or enforcing speed laws. So if you have jammers, same rules apply. And Lucifer wants to know, the Morning Star says, should kids be charged with riding e-scooters on the road? Well, let's talk about this. First of all, in the province of Ontario, and we're going to come back to the speed camera question, the devices, e-kick scooters, require you to be 16 years old to operate them if you're in a jurisdiction that opted into the pilot project under the Highway Traffic Act's provisions for e-kick scooters. So 16 years old, if you're under 18, you got to wear a helmet, and that's it. So if you are under 16, should you be charged? Yeah, and your parents should be charged because that's how that works. Okay. Sounds harsh. Maybe it is. Do we need to hold the people accountable? Yes, we do. Now, could it be a situation of education? Give young person a ride back to the house, putting the scooter in the trunk and explaining to the parents that this isn't legal. And then if it persists, that charges should be laid. Yeah, maybe that's the way to start it. But we have a bigger problem in the city of Toronto. People are just riding them, even though they're all prohibited in Toronto. And then you have the modified units, or you have people riding two up on them. Listen, I have kids. I take them to school. Nobody in that school is 16, and there are at least a half dozen people who ride e-kick scooters to school every day, sometimes with their even younger kids, siblings on board, and rarely, if ever, wearing a helmet, which is not legal either. Anyway, I could go on and on and on about those, but we will move along. Just a reminder that if you want to join the show, if you are so inclined, if you are brave, because it's not easy being green. It's not easy to jump on and talk about stuff and things on the air. But if you want to join, I've got my window open here. I can see the Gmail for Ask a Traffic App at gmail.com. And if you send me an email and tell me you want to join the show, I'll send you a Zoom invite and I'll bring you on the screen. Okay, I see Travis jumped in with a question. We'll come back to you in a second. Let's get on to that question about speed cameras. Well, it's something I'm passionate about. Apparently, nobody else cares, and I mean nobody being the premier or the mayor of Vaughan. Obviously, there are many people who are in support of them, but it appears that they're going to go bye-bye, even though the people who are making them go bye-bye are the people who brought them into effect. But when voters complain, opinions change. The things that were considered effective and worthy of bringing into law are suddenly a scourge on society and a tax grab. Ridiculous, because they only impact people who break the law. I think they should be on every road. I don't think anyone should be able to get away with speeding at all whatsoever. Laws are there to be followed, not broken, despite popular belief. And my opinion is they're good and they actually slow people down. And studies support my statement, my belief. It's not just because I think people should get tickets. I think they should avoid tickets by not breaking the law. And if someone is in support of getting rid of those cameras, it's because they themselves likely want to get away with stuff and things. Now, what is Apple calling me about? Let's see here. I'm obviously not. Oh, here we go. I can't talk right now. Why isn't my pre-programmed message the one that says I'm streaming? Tune in live. That's what I actually have on my auto reply. That didn't show up, maybe because it was Apple. Anyway, that's my opinion on speed cameras. We should have them on every single road, everywhere, and that's my story. Okay. Johnny says no. Ethan to Johnny says no penalties because it's not illegal. I don't know what we're talking about in that comment. Let's move on. Melody says hello. We got you there. Gubbles Gaming says Sean is a Canadian hero for transparency. Okay. Cool. I never had that title bestowed upon me. I don't know if it's sarcastic or intentional or whatever it is. We'll go with it. Okay. Det, we see you there. We see a bunch of people who've come in. Travis Wood Gaming says, "Hey, I have a question for you." And Travis Wood Gaming, we can talk about your question, but I don't see your question. Only your question or your statement about having a question. Okay. What do we have here? Decepticons forever. What's happening, my friend? And okay, here we go. Travis, well, here we go. Travis Wood Gaming says, I was sitting at a red light. I saw an officer was sitting at a red light and he ran the red light for no reason. Please help me why cops do this. Let's talk about it. Did he run the light because he went through without stopping? That's what running a light is. Did he activate his lights and sirens, go through the intersection and turn off the lights and sirens and proceed doing whatever he was doing? Because that is absolutely protocol. That is legal. Why he did it, we'll never know because we weren't there. We weren't looking at his computer or hearing the police radio at the time that it occurred. It's legal for them to do that. In fact, the only time a police officer is required by law to activate their lights and sirens is to go through a red intersection, a red signal being displayed to them. They have to come to a complete stop. They have to ensure that it's safe to proceed, and then they have to activate their lights and sirens, and that's it. And then Travis Wood Gaming says, by running the red light, if they're not going to a call, they don't need to be going to a call. They could be going to the bathroom, although it wouldn't be the case. But legally they could do it. They could be going through to respond to a call, but police don't just activate their lights and sirens and drive all over the place. They'd also find that it's a lot safer to not have the lights and sirens on. Let me give you a scenario. The alarm in your home is going off because people are trying to break in. Is it better to have lights and sirens as they come to your house and notify bad guys that police are there so that they can prepare themselves for an engagement with police? Or is it better to roll up silently and catch them in the act? Think about it. Lights and sirens also slow people down because people pull over, stop, freak out, think they're being pulled over, and it often creates situations that are less safe for police and the public. Okay. Hey, it's Shko. Okay, what's happening? Long time no see. Glad to have you back. Let's get back to the TikTok comments. I am reading comments on multiple platforms, so bear with me if I don't respond quickly. It's because I'm reading somewhere else, but I will be back with you. Some of them are amalgamated; they all go to the same place. Others have to be looked at in different windows, which is why I have so many bloody screens here. All right, let's have a quick look at. Ooh, we'll come back to. Oh, we got another Travis Wood question. Are you on both platforms? Did I read that right? Yeah. Okay. We'll get your other question on the YouTubes in a second. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. And if you're watching on TikTok, please follow me on YouTube and TikTok. And you get where I'm going with this. Follow us on all the platforms. The more, the merrier. Obviously, if you want your question on screen, YouTube is awesome. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. Likes by way of tapping the screen do help bring more people to the party. More people to the party means more questions and interesting stuff to talk about. One of the things I did want to discuss, other than the magical people who help support the show, aka Diamond and Barrett Law, the fine temperature changes. That's what I want to talk about. The leaves that are falling from the trees that are lining our roads. How does that impact your driving? Could it be a risk? Yeah. Think about it. We are starting to see cooler temperatures. Tires change the behavior or your behavior. The temperature changes the behavior of your tires when dealing with the road. We'll come back to that in a minute. Morning, Gord Shumway coming in from X. Does anyone know? This is for anyone other than Gord Shumway. Do you know who Gord Shumway is? He was the star of a TV show when I was a kid. Who is Gordon Shumway? Please answer in the comments. I want to know if you know. Let's get back to the TikTok. And we'll talk about this. Let's see here. Shkowe OK says, if I let a friend use my car for a G test, do I have to be present at the test center? If they're a G2 driver, you can loan them the car as long as it's insured and they have all the documents and the vehicle is fit. No, you don't need to be there. You are able to loan your vehicle, but know that you're loaning your insurance as well. So if they happen to make a boo-boo, it's your boo-boo too, in the sense that your insurance is going to go up. So if you trust them, if you love them, if you need to support them, by all means, do what you got to do. Now, I will tell you this as a caveat: make sure that your insurance company is okay with you doing it, because if they get into a collision and your company has a clause in your agreement saying you cannot loan your vehicle to people of a certain age or vehicle license, then you might be out of luck when you come to claim time. So that's it. Oh, Decepticons Forever came in to say hello, but he says, I'm going back to bed. I got the flu. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I hope you feel better soon. Okay. Let's see here. We got no demerit points for operating a radar detector. Is it no demerit points? You know what? I honestly don't recall. I don't. It might be 2. Let's confirm, because it's better to make the confirmation and find out. I'm having too much fun with Duolingo, that is. Learning Spanish. I'm on level 18 now. What's your Duolingo score? I want to know. Do you Duolingo? Do you have a free account? Do you pay for it? I'm not sponsored by them, but I really do have a lot of fun. It's become my daily thing. And if you want to see how I'm progressing, if you want to challenge and be my buddy on the app, go ahead and you can find me. I'm the VOC. And yeah, we can support each other. The gamification of learning languages. I quite like it. Okay, what was I looking up? Radar detectors. Squirrel. Speed measurement warning device. 3 demerit points. I said 2. I was wrong. It is 3 demerit points, $170, and you lose the device. So it's no bueno. Okay. Moving along. All right, here we go. And Tracy says Alf, and Magic Mike says Alf. Magic Mike Taco says Alf, and you're both right. Alf was the show. He does anyone know what Alf, well, other than those who have come back with Alf, do you know what Alf stands for? As we're having fun is it the 80s? I think it's an 80s show. And Decepticons Forever, despite having a cold and being sick and under the weather, is enfermo. He's going to drop my Spanish as much as possible here. He's sick, and he still knows that it's Alf. Very good. Yeah. What does Alf stand for? Does anybody else have the answer? We'll come back to it. All right. Travis Wood with another question. We'll come back to TikTok in a sec. So I was out driving around in my neighborhood and oh, this is another. So previously he was on TikTok asking about cops who went through red lights. Now he's talking about cops doing 75 in a 45 zone and he had no lights or sirens on and he almost hit my car going down the road. So police are legally allowed to exceed the posted speed limit. They are exempt from speed. They don't need to have the lights and sirens on. They're entitled to do what they do, but they're responsible for whatever they do. So had they caused a collision or hit you, they'd be responsible for it. But they're legally permitted to do it. So you've got two questions that are, about police doing stuff that you don't approve of, and I totally appreciate that these are valid questions. But do you have any questions about what you do, or only what cops do? Let me know. Let's see here. Doop-a-doo. We have greetings and salutations from Akela Draconis coming from not Toronto, but from his new place. It's tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it is. It's called I can't think of what it is. It's bugging me now. Tip of my tongue. He officially put his retirement papers in today. Congratulations, my friend. Okay. Alf, and he says he thought temperatures was under 7 degrees. So in terms of when you should change to your winter tires, it's when you have consistent temperatures under 7 degrees. But talking about tire temperature is something that I want to do, and I want to do it early because people don't seem to understand that colder temperatures means tires perform differently, and it may take longer for you to stop. And when you have the tree, what is it called? The tree poop leaves? Tree poop. That's what I'm calling it. It's tree poop. When you have leaves on the ground, you have this wonderful thing that happens. It becomes really slippery. Not so much when it's dry, or at least less so when it's dry, but when it's wet, it becomes slick like crazy, and people don't take into consideration and how much of an impact that can have on your stopping distance. So just be aware. Just know that things are changing. And did anybody else get it? Yeah, Decepticons forever. Akela Draconis. People saying ALF stands for alien life form. And Eye Candy says, is that what it says? No, I can only win. It says alfalfa is a plant. Very good. All right, moving along. Yes. Okay, we're going to go with that back to the TikTok. Bad Cat 43 says alien life form. So does Johnny Michael Nguyen. Apparently y'all know what it is. And Ali sent gifts. Thank you so much. And by the way, gifts are appreciated. They go to the not-for-profit organization called Better Traffic, logo on the screen. The goal is to help keep the show going and also help create programs that can help Canadians, yes, everyone in Canada, be safer on the road through education. Yeah, we want to grow this. It's not just me talking in front of the screen. It's about school programs and presentations and doing stuff and things. And if you believe in what we do, I say we, it's mostly me on the screen to you. But if you believe in this in trying to make roads safer, despite government officials cutting down traffic enforcement opportunities, then you could consider supporting us. We'd absolutely love to have your support. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Moving on. Let's see here. Massive fine for having a rated. That's not massive, but it's $170. It's certainly nothing to shake a stick at. We've got, what do we got here? Okay, moving along, reading through stuff. Your thoughts on the kids that got hit by cars yesterday doing it. I did not see that. Are you suggesting or telling me or informing me or letting us all know that children were hit on e-kick scooters on the road? Is that what we're talking about? Because I didn't see the news about it. So obviously, if the goal of restricting who can use those devices is to restrict and ensure that those who are responsible for following the laws are using it, and because they have to be used on the road and because they have power. I mean, I watched a kid on the sidewalk do a catwalk. Yeah, it was a wheelie. And he did a sustained wheelie with a high-powered e-kick scooter. I mean, A, he shouldn't have been on the sidewalk. B, he probably shouldn't have been operating it because he wasn't legal. He was not wearing a helmet. When everything is wrong, it suggests that we've got a big problem. And the biggest issue and the reason why the city of Toronto continuously opts out or chooses not to opt into the program is because there are so many people being injured on these. They're less bad. Like, I actually have one and like them, and they were not prohibited or even acknowledged when I bought mine. I was using it as a mobility device. It was an easy, low-cost solution when I was having difficulties walking after my collision, which is back in 2018. So I think they're great. when responsibly used in places where you can legally use them, and so on. But if kids got hurt, that's terrible, and that's the whole issue. That's we don't want kids getting hurt. We want to protect them from themselves and from the poor decisions of the parents who buy them the stuff that they're using. Because no kids buying a 9-bot for $1,000 with their milk money. Just saying. Okay, we got. Okay, scrolling through, I see Gord and others were deliberating about what temperature is the appropriate place. And in Ontario, and every organization that I know of says sustained temperatures under 7 degrees Celsius is when you should start talking about it. But Gord was saying someone talked about -5. It says maybe it was +5, but we say 7, 5. What's 2 degrees between friends? Melody says it's not that scary to join the live. Make sure you have the Zoom app. Yes, and you can actually do it through your web browser too. You don't even have to download the app, but it is better with the app. Okay. Only Savagery says speed cameras. The RO of the car gets the ticket, not the driver. Does not make it fair. Well, it kind of does make it fair. First of all, if you're loaning someone the car, know who you're loaning it to and make sure they're responsible. And if you get the ticket as the owner, give it to the dumb that you lent it to and say, y'all did this, you can pay for it. And that kind of distributes the fairness, doesn't it? And if they say, no, screw you, I'm not paying for the ticket that I got you, well, then that's not a friend and you should discontinue use. Yeah, you don't need them in your life because they're garbage. That's because they're telling you to your face that they don't care about the fact that they cost you money. Now, it is money. There's no demerit points. So while it is less fun than not getting a ticket, at least it's monetary only. So you have the opportunity to learn a lesson and not have it impact you. Now, I personally think that demerit points should be included. And then when you get the ticket and it was your cousin Bob who borrowed the car, then you say, Bob, you're coming to court with me because I'm throwing you under the bus and you can take responsibility or I will simply give it to you. And there's ways to do that because in Europe, they certainly do have demerit points associated with it, partially because there's cameras that can capture the driver's likeness when they're driving your car. In any case, I think they're great and fair. Fair is not fair is driving legally. Not fair is getting hit by someone who's speeding. So I don't care about people who get tickets. I care about them as humans. I don't care that they get tickets. I don't feel bad for them. You can't get sympathy for breaking the law, for me anyway. I mean, let me retract that. I can sympathize that oopsie doos happen. Someone doesn't read a sign, they get a ticket for going 10 over. But you know how you remember? You respond to the ticket, take responsibility, and you learn and move on. It's the people who continuously drive like bozos who get tickets that I have absolutely no sympathy for. Listen, I've had tickets. I am not perfect. I've had tickets. I dealt with them. I took responsibility. I didn't take them to court and say, I don't want to pay this. I'm not guilty. Because if I was guilty, I was guilty. People now just roll the dice and don't want to take responsibility for nothing. For nothing, I say. Dad jokes. Oh, thank you, Akila. I will flag the dad. If you are a dad joke person, mind you, the dad joke didn't come through. It just says dad joke. See, I need the joke too. So if you have, and there's Nicholas Rizzi. He's a jokester. If you've got a dad joke and you want me to read it on the show, then put it in the comments below. See how that works? All right. Boom, boom, boom. I love the conversation. Lucifer says, tell them to pay the fine. User number 284 says, is a traffic cop different from a regular cop? They are a regular cop, excuse me. They're a regular cop who has specialties in traffic. So I went to the police college. I graduated. I worked in a division doing primary response, meaning I go into 911 calls and I did all the things that a regular cop did. And then I worked in the traffic office. Back then, there was a traffic office in each division. And then they made a phone call and said, hey, we're amalgamating. We're taking all the traffic units and putting them to central traffic downtown. Want to come down and drive 3 times as far to get to work? And I said, sure, I want to drive downtown and drive 3 times. Actually, I really wanted to because that's where the motorcycles were. So I went to traffic services. So tactical officers, the ETF, they're regular police officers with additional training and specialties. Dog handlers, same situation. Mounted unit, same situation. All cops first, specialists after. So, yeah. Okay. Moving. Lots of discussion about the consequences of automated enforcement. and moving along. So mobile speed cameras were outlawed in BC because of what I said, proving there is foundation. That's from Only Savage. So I didn't read all your comments in your dialogue because it looked like you were just discussing it with Tracy, who is a magical moderator. But the deal is that BC got rid of it, and their fatal collision numbers have skyrocketed, and they're bringing it back in certain places. Now, BC may not have brought it back, but Edmonton, Alberta, is certainly brought it back after getting rid of it. Ring Road, I think, is an Alberta location where they were outlawed, and now they're bringing them back through special rules because they work, they slow people down, they hold people accountable. You get rid of them, and then suddenly people get severely injured and unalived. And then who's at fault? Well, the dodos in the that were driving for sure, but also the politicians who took away the cameras to, well, get votes. When you buy votes with safety, it's really gross. Okay. Let's see here. Only Savagery. What are we talking about? 1988. Maybe that was what they're talking about with the TV show Alf. Oscar wants to know if you what happens if you get caught driving a car without a safety. If the car is unsafe for the road, you're going to be charged driving an unsafe motor vehicle. You got all sorts of issues, but you're going to be charged for that. What is the fine for drive unsafe vehicle? Let's have a look. Since we have the ability, we'll have a quick search for unsafe motor vehicle and operate unsafe vehicle, $490. That's commercial motor vehicle. Hang on. It's same price. Commercial or not? Oh, it's both commercial. Where is it? $170. Operate unsafe vehicle on highway. Contrary. No, that's if the officer says no. Still, it's 100. No, remove. Oh, come on. Wording. It's all about wording. Wording. Operate unsafe vehicle. Oh, it's no set fine. I should have known that. No set fine and seizure of plate. So take your plates. You're going to pay for the tow to get home. No person shall drive or operate or permit the driving or operation upon a highway of a vehicle, streetcar, or vehicles that are in combination, that are in dangerous or unsafe condition. If it's unsafe, it's unsafe. And the owner and the and it looks like the operator both could be charged. So if I own the car and I let you do it, I could be charged. And if you're driving it, you could be charged. No good. It's just, it's not good. So that's the thing. And are you insured? If it's an unsafe motor vehicle, what insurance company is going to pay for it to be on the road or to cover you if you cause damage? Because you ought to have known, and you did that in violation of conditions, meaning that the insurance company could deny your claims, could hang you out to dry, and frankly, you deserve it if you're driving an unsafe motor vehicle. Why aren't you allowed to filter through traffic at traffic lights on a motorcycle? Because it's illegal. You're supposed to be waiting with everybody else. Now, in Canada and in the majority of the United States, it's prohibited to lane split and lane filter, which is the same thing. And really the difference is not moving traffic and moving traffic. So do I think that there's room for lane filtering? Yes. Is it currently an activity that's permissible? Not officially. I say not officially because if I saw lane filtering at a reasonable speed, I wouldn't think anything of it. It's no big deal. If you're causing an issue other than hurt feelings, then it's a big deal. And if it's through moving traffic, then I have an issue with it, and I think it's unsafe. Okay. We've got boom. Alien life form. We got that. We got what's the law for what's the law for kids riding in the front seat? Kids being what? So there's no specific law other than if they require a child safety restraint, child seat, car seat, whatnot. That's a law. If you're under 80 pounds, under 8 years old, under 4'9", if you're under all three of those, you require a booster. If you're below that, you need a car seat and so on, depending on the size and weight of the child. But front seat isn't something that is specifically prohibited. There's a rule about airbags and a certain age, but that's separate. 14 years old, until they're 14, the experts say back seat is best. And I agree with that. There's no reason to be in the front seat where the airbags are, because airbags can really hurt people, and so can crush zones or crumple zones. So backseat is best until 14. Obviously, nobody follows that. I don't even follow that because I put people where they have to be once they're at a certain age and based on the amount of room I have in the vehicle. It's just reality. As long as They can be far enough away from the airbag in terms of my position on it. That's what happens. Backseat is best, but sometimes it's not reasonable. If you have 4 seating positions and you have 4 children, one of them is going to be in the front seat, right? So it's just the reality of things. Best, but backseat is best, and I'm not arguing that. Okay. And Savagery says he's not arguing, just having dialogue, and I totally appreciate that. Okay. But Tracy's is standing ground saying, "Don't let them drive if it's that much of a problem." Yeah, like I totally don't lend your car to people that aren't trustworthy and hold them accountable in the event that they break the law. We're talking about traffic cameras there. My name is Sean Shapiro. I mean, just talking on and on and on without letting you know that this is a show about you. If you want to ask questions, I'm here for you. My name is Sean Shapiro. Like I said, I'm a former police officer, and my specialty was traffic. I was a traffic guy. I'll always be a traffic guy. You want to ask the traffic guy a question? Yeah, ask away. It says ask a traffic cop. That's the name of the show. I am no longer a police officer, just clarifying because someone made a comment saying you're misrepresenting. And I'm like, no, it clearly says former on the screen. Moving along. What do we have here? Boo, boo, boo. Oh, this is still dialogue. I'm going to scroll past the dialogue. If somebody wants to ask me a question as opposed to conversation, well, a cue for question. It makes life easier when I'm trying to scroll through a lot of convo because I'm not in the conversation. All right. Bad Cat 43 says, here the police have been charging and taking mobility scooters off the road, mostly because of no license. Depends on what we're talking about. If you're talking about a vehicle that really isn't a mobility scooter, then yeah, it's an unlicensed motor vehicle that doesn't meet the requirements to be on the road. But when you say here, where is here, Bad Cat? You may have said it earlier and I may have missed it, but please explain. Because if it's the car that is being sold as a mobility scooter just happens to be tiny, it's a motor vehicle without question, capable of speeds, and it isn't something you can drive into the Walmart to do your shopping. It's not a mobility scooter. Mobility scooters are very simply not a wheelchair, but a little bit bigger and not it's got the thing that lets you put your groceries in, but it's not a car with air conditioning and stereo and heating and passenger space for 4 because some of them are really ridiculous. And one that's just marginally smaller than a Fiat, being rolled down the sidewalk where moms, dads, and kids are walking. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I support police in enforcing the Highway Traffic Act because what people are doing by ordering stuff off of Amazon or dealers who are importing them from overseas and just pumping them out there because they want to make money and they don't care if you get charged, it's a problem. Those are motor vehicles, and there's very specific rules as to what happens with them. Okay. Moving along. How do I file a motion to remove front plates? A lot of people have issues with front plates. It's not going to happen, at least not right now. Doug Ford, when he came into office, said he was going to remove them because it makes sense, right? Half the plates being issued means half the money being spent. He was going to save money and beautify the front of most cars. The deal is that he then spoke to the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, and I believe it was a friend of mine who actually responded and said, they double your chances of identifying a vehicle and they make sense. So let's not get rid of them. Okay. And they never got rid of them. They did make stupid Kleenex box, useless reflective plates that obviously they had to get rid of. But I thought they looked cool when they weren't moving, but at night they were useless and they're still on the road. They should be recalled. Big Red wants to know where you can ride an e-bike in the city of Toronto. If you're talking about a pedelec, you can ride it basically anywhere a bicycle can be ridden. If you're talking about an e-bike, one that has a throttle, it can't be in cycle tracks or parks. If you're talking about e-bikes that look like motorcycles, well, they can't even be in bike lanes, from my understanding. They need to be on the road. And if you modified an e-bike to be able to travel at more than 32 kilometers an hour sustained on a flat surface by throttle alone, they're not allowed to be anywhere because they're now motorcycles, not covered by e-bike standards. And thus you need license, ownership, and insurance. Bob's your uncle says monetary only equals tax grab. No, monetary only just means less serious, less difficult to get a conviction, but it's a incentive to not break the law. Because if you break the law, you deserve to have the money taken away from you. It's a donation for being dumb. Don't break the law, you won't have a problem. This concept that if I take your money but don't slap you in the face, it's a tax grab. And I mean slap in terms of, demerit points or whatnot. But then you bring it on. Would you do it if it was a slap in the face? If you got to keep your money, but you got one of those slaps that from that competition where people are doing that. I don't know who the hell would do this, but it's like bodybuilders and people who just slap each other in the face. It's a sport, apparently. If that was the consequence for speeding, would you do it? It's not money then. It's just slapping. It's just a little wake up call. I don't know. You tell me. Let me know what you think. Used Camaro says, yeah, somebody speeds because of a accident and gets a ticket. A week later makes sense. How? Oh, you're not saying accident like collision. You're saying oopsie doo, they sped. It makes total sense. Learn to pay attention to your speed. Yes, you can make mistakes. And yes, you have to be responsible for the mistakes you make. Doesn't matter if you get a ticket now or later, you're still the person who did what you did, and you still have to be held accountable. And then maybe that letter a week later will make you think of how you drove for that entire week, and maybe you'll change something. To say that I didn't learn my lesson because it didn't happen within proximity of the location and time that I committed the offense. What you sound like is someone who's making an excuse. Drive better, do better. Don't break the law. I don't. It's really easy not to. And guess what? If I had an oopsie do and I broke the law and I was held accountable, I'd say, I had an oopsie do. I'd be a man and just move on with my life. And that's what happened when I was 17 and got a ticket. I didn't try and fight it. I knew what I did wrong. And then I didn't do wrong again. Yeah. Funny how that works. Hello from Humber College. What's going on, James? Welcome. Hey, if I get hit by an e-bike, who pays for the damage because they're not insured? Well, if you get hit by an e-bike and you're in your motor vehicle, your insurance pays for your vehicle and theirs. Now, if they have home insurance, it may be a situation or a source where you could sue them, or they could utilize it to cover some of their damages. If they hit a pedestrian, now you're getting into a lawsuit territory because there's no insurance. But maybe if they have home insurance or renter's insurance, you might be able to go after it. But it's a crappy situation. I think they should all be insured. I don't think any of them should be legal on the road without insurance, because as much as they're treating them as bicycles, many of them are not, meaning they are motorized vehicles. They're motor vehicles according to the criminal code and the Highway Traffic Act. If they go more than 32 kilometers an hour, are capable of those speeds. The problem is they're not inspecting them. Now, what is really cool, and I'm writing an article about it, the European police have actually got a mobile, what is it called when you put the tip of my tongue, but not making its way to the forefront. When you put it on the device and it measures horsepower and top speed. What's it called? So they have a mini one for e-bikes. So the biggest issue, we were trying to figure out how to enforce them in a way that's acceptable for court. So obviously, if it's a device that's manufactured, we know what the specifications are. We can say that device isn't spec. Like there's a couple of brands, I won't name them, but there's a couple of brands that are capable of 150 kilometers an hour, 80 to 150, 80 to 100, so 80 miles an hour. So you do the math, 1.6. Those are clearly, just by looking at them, not legal. They're motorcycles and they're not street legal. Then you have bikes that are modified, and we catch them by way of measuring their speed. We saw you doing 60, you can't go more than 32, thus I can qualify it as an e-bike, no problem. But wouldn't it be great just to be able to do inspections and stop every bike that comes by and check it and make sure that it's legal? I think that's a great way of doing it. It's much more fair. It also means that the person who modifies it, even if not speeding right now, well, to be held accountable. And I think holding people accountable is good. If you haven't figured out, that's my thing. Dino, thank you. Let's say I can only win. Is that what it is? I can only win. So they said Dino for e-bikes is kind of funny. I think it's awesome. Let me see if I can pull up a picture, because I really think that it would bring fairness, because any motor vehicle can be inspected, right? You can absolutely, you have the right to inspect it. The police can do that. Let me see here. Maybe if I can't find it really quickly, I'm going to give up on this mission. I think it's before I went to the auto show. I'm scrolling through my my list of or my photo in what's it called? Photo gallery. That's what it is. Hmm. Yeah, I'm already maybe it's more than a week ago. I'm not giving up on the scrolling business here. I'm not finding it. I think I saved it to my computer instead of to my phone. Oh well. I'll publish an article about it soon enough. But I think it's a really cool thing. Uh, what is this? Kayla says I just drive. Okay, we're talking about other stuff here. Nicholas, can you please yell at the people in the back so they can hear you? The speed limit on the 407 is 100 kilometers an hour, not 100 or whatever you feel like. That is the maximum. Although I can tell you that I don't think anybody understands what speed limits really mean. I think they think they're interesting suggestions. Moving along. Okay, moving along. Here we go. Disguised Ape says, "What about the cases where siblings look very similar? Can't ever be certain who is who." So that's funny. I pulled over a driver of a small SUV. Don't remember the make or model. It was at night, and they were driving with their headlights out. The guy says, "I don't have my license with me, but here's my name and my date of birth and all that information." And when I told him that his license was suspended, he was very upset at his brother because he was using his brother's name and date of birth to drive where he had never been licensed prior to. He's not a licensed driver, never been licensed. So he was charged with a number of things. But yeah, sometimes we have situations where people lie and they lie to police. And it's funny how that works. Moving back, moving back. Things just up in the update, they scroll and I have to find my place. Okay. Um, Here we go. Only savagery. I don't know who the jabs are coming from or what we're going on. We're just talking. What does quashed wrong service mean? What's the context of your quashed? Quashed is one way of dealing with legal matters. They throw them out. I don't know if wrong service is talking about delivery or timing or it wasn't issued correctly. It's possible that if you were let's say they issued it by mail, but it should have been in person. I'm speculating here. I've never had a quashed wrong service scenario, so you'd have to let me know more info. What are your thoughts on the new digital safety? Melody, who's a mechanic and was on the show last night and was at least in the show this morning, in the chat at least, was saying that now it means that there's digital records of the safety. When they look at certain components, they're taking pictures of it, so there's a record of it, which is actually really good because fewer people doing certifications over the phone, and that used to happen a lot. People were safetying vehicles that shouldn't have been safety, like the mechanic who sold my dad a car that had straight pipes. Not legal. Let's go on here. Go away. Okay, says, what happens if a speed limit begin sign is not visible to a driver covered by foliage? It depends on the proximity to that. Like, what's reasonable? If it was an 80 sign and 100 feet up was a 60 sign and it was completely obscured, I would suggest two things. Well, one, as a police officer, if I was doing enforcement in that area, I would have driven past those signs to ensure that they were visible because it's going to be in my notes. Now, if you are someone who is charged and you know that it was obstructed, after you get your ticket, safely make a U-turn or find your way back to the path you took where the allegation of speeding took place and go and look for the signs. And if it was covered, take pictures of it because that's the evidence for your defense. I'm not saying something that's against policing. I totally support in holding people accountable for speeding. But if you have a clear defense for said offense because you have a clear defense for the offense because you didn't know and it was not reasonable for you to know because it was obscured, take pictures, build evidence, go and fight. That's when fighting makes sense. Fighting when you get caught speeding because you knew you were speeding, I don't support. You were doing 150 zone, you're a bonehead. But if you were doing 10, 20, 30 over because the sign changed and you could not have known because you're not, new to the area, the sign was obstructed. That is the reason we have a system that allows defense. Okay. All right. What is this? Only Savagery says, I'm only 100% against lane splitting because a majority do it in gridlock when emergency vehicles are trying to make way via the fog line. I'm against lane splitting because drivers suck. And as a motorcycle guy, I've seen too many people lose body parts because they were riding at high speed differential between cars. So if you're going to drive like a bonehead, which is like doing 150 through traffic that's doing 100, that's totally insane. If you're doing 10 or 15 kilometers an hour differential in an area that can support it safely, I would be in support of it, but the law isn't at the moment. So doing that is considered careless. If you're doing it faster than 10 or 15 kilometers difference, it's considered potentially stunt or very likely even criminal if it depending on the situation, because it's not usually one straight line. It's usually zipping between traffic and doing all sorts of things. I've driven in LA. I've ridden in places all over the world. Lane splitting can be done safe. And actually, as a motorcycle officer in Toronto, I used to ride the shoulder for enforcement purposes. I used to ride through traffic lane split. I did it. And it was scary sometimes because drivers are on their phone, weaving all over the place. And I watched a video, Hugo Lord. He's a lawyer on TikTok and Instagram. I love his content. Great stuff. Shout out to him. And he was commenting on a video where motorcycle was going at ridiculous speed down a lane in California, and a truck hit him and it caused a collision. So in that scenario, it's a perfect example as to why it's dangerous. He was driving way too fast, but the truck did something wrong too. Anyway, long and the short of it is it's not legal, it's not safe, and you shouldn't be doing it. If you want to go faster, get a helicopter license. I don't know, but driving the line in the environment that we're in, which is made up primarily of bad drivers, it's very risky. And again, it depends on the speed differential, from my personal opinion. Kenny8080 says, if you come to an intersection with 2 stops, not all the way, should you be able to, what is this? If you come to an intersection with 2 stops, what are 2 stops? Should you always yield to right turning car? Are you saying with 2 stop signs? A T intersection, a 4-way intersection, 2 people show up at the same time. First to arrive, first to drive. Rarely, if ever, do 2 people actually show up at the same time. Like, actually, they say, well, 4 cars show up at the exact same time. Well, nobody ever does that. It's the what if question of what. So somebody has to make the decision of who's first. And if you, as Canadians, all wave and have a conversation trying to say, you go, no, you go, no, you go, and then nobody goes anywhere. So first to arrive, first to drive. And when in doubt, somebody has to make a decision. So, and then it's ring around the posy that it all goes that way. Jason K. Lee, MD, says, hey, Sean, when are we going to mandate East scooter and e-bike require a driver's license? I'm with you. They're motor vehicles in many scenarios, and either need to be off the road or need to be, well, you said e-scooters and e-bikes. I think that licenses should be there. I think insurance should be there, even if it's a special type of insurance. I think we need to put controls on these to ensure that people can ride them safely and be held accountable. If you go to Europe, they have license plates. They're marked on the fenders. They're absolutely required to do that because they're everywhere and they're being used in place of motor vehicles because they are motor vehicles, and they are, but they're not paying insurance, not paying road tax. They should all be contributing. They're using it. And people argue saying, oh, we're prohibiting, access to reasonable and inexpensive travel. There's buses. There's all sorts of ways. There's pedal bikes, but get a pedal bike. If you don't want to pay insurance, pedal bike. But when you're doing the speeds that they're doing, they're not bicycles at all. Okay. John says, can I park in a no parking zone between certain times with an accessible permit? You can always park in a no parking zone with an accessible permit, because no parking signs permit parking with an accessible permit. No stopping and no standing zones, you cannot. So the big difference is no parking signs, you can park in a no parking sign. It's a lot of repetition of parking, but yes. More information can be found on the Toronto website for that. Oh, and just a plug for Mr. Rizzy. He says, come to Absolute Comedy Tuesday, October 7th, 8 p.m. Tickets are $15. There will be cop jokes. Come for the jokes and see if I get my skull cracked. Oh my goodness. Maybe I don't want to go there just because I don't want to be a witness to any assaults in progress. Doesn't sound like fun. But I'm sure it will be fun if you're on stage. Okay. Is it worth getting someone to fight my tickets? On what basis? There is there is a what is it called? A paralegal who's currently looking at some problems. See, this paralegal was working on behalf of people who were absolutely guilty, just filing all sorts of motions to stifle the system, to create delays and avoid demerit points, and they were trying to game the system. Hundreds. If you're going to hire somebody to defend yourself, you should probably be innocent, because defense means you're defending the fact that you were unfairly and inaccurately charged, because a charge is an allegation. But what's happened in recent years, and maybe that recent years is 100 of them, I don't know. People don't fight because they're innocent. They fight because they don't want to be held accountable. Okay. You can go and negotiate terms. You can say, I'm willing to plead guilty. What's my deal? That is not fighting, although technically you need to fight it to do that. So, and most of the ticket companies don't actually fight by way of trial. They negotiate. You can negotiate on your own. You don't need to pay someone to do it. The difference is they'll just be better at it. So let's say you're going to say, I'm going to take responsibility. You can have a pre-trial, what's it called? A meeting, a first appearance with a prosecutor, which you can do before hiring anybody. You can go and say, listen, I want to know what my options are. Can I plead to a lesser offense? And they'll say, well, we'll reduce the speed. We'll knock it down to a lesser offense with fewer demerit points and a lower monetary amount. So let's say you run a red light, and they say, okay, that's a serious offense. You're going to plead to it. We'll knock it down to something with no demerit points, with a different name, and we'll give you $100 fine, and we'll give you 6 months to pay. That's the kind of stuff you can do on your own, or you can hire someone for $800 to do it. It all depends on how comfortable you are doing it and what your time is worth, because going to court and dealing with these things takes time. That's negotiation. I support that. Being adamant that you don't want to pay for a fine because you don't like being held accountable, I have an issue with that. Negotiate away. I used to negotiate with people all the time. And I say that because as a police officer, the Crown or the prosecutor will say, can you go out and talk to them and see what you can do? And then after talking to them and, explain to them that they're actually guilty and here's all the evidence, they go, oh, you mean I can't just get away with it? I go, no. They go, well, can I get a lower offense? And I actually go to the prosecutor and say, hey, can we give this guy a break and reduce it? And let's just move him out of here, because he's gonna plead guilty if he gets it. Like, that's just daily life. That's what happens. You can pay someone big bucks to do it, or you can do it yourself. And if you don't like the deal with a first appearance, you can always go to court. Louis wants to know if it counts as hit and run if I run over a rabbit. I've run over rabbits before. It is not hit and run. You are taught at driving school to avoid hurting humans. And and obviously pets, you try and avoid collision. But if a rabbit runs out in the road and you run it over, you feel a bump and you continue along your way. Sad, but Fluffy, paid the ultimate sacrifice for jaywalking. Let's see here. Thunder Bay and ones with the cat. I don't know. With the cat. I don't know what we're talking about. Out of context. Thoughts on new? We talked about that. Can I add? We talked about that. Julie Mango says, I still have the blue plates. Is that okay? It is okay. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should have them. I don't think they don't show up on camera. They're useless. So I would trade them in. I prefer ones that are visible. Let's say your car gets stolen. Good luck anyone finding it, because it's invisible plates. But they're not illegal. So, I would switch it, but you don't have to. What do we have here? Tracy says, we just got a frost warning here. It's too early. Sorry, had to vent. And she says she's okay now. Yeah, the deal is that the weather is changing. It's changing rapidly. Summer went away like a light switch. And today was chilly on my walk. Drummer Cody W. says, will an officer always stop the lead car in a single lane run a highway situation if speeding? No, they can pull over any one of them. Last one, first one, whichever one they want. Whichever the color, makes them happy, sad, motivates them, whichever one is closest, whatever tickles their fancy. There's no safe way to speed. The answer is don't speed. What are your rights if someone is recording you for something in public? leave. You have no reasonable expectation or right to privacy in public. So if you're in public and I put a camera facing you, they can record you. Now, if you walk away and they chase you, that's different. That is now very much bordering into a harassment kind of situation. So you say, please leave me alone. I'm leaving, leave me alone. And they continue. Let them know, I'm going to call the police. But you should be able to leave and leave uninterrupted, because that becomes, if they're not letting you leave, now they're into a confinement situation where they're actively harassing you. It's different. But if you're just in public, in fact, even if you're on private property, but they're in public, if it's in plain view from public, they can record you. Now they can't zoom lens into your bathroom window. That's different, but they'd probably not be in public property at that point. Okay, but if it's in public view, it's game on. You don't really have a right. You can leave. Wyatt Gale says, "Hey Sean, if I come over from the United States and I'm caught going 40 over, what are the 40 over miles or kilometers?" So 40 over miles would be stunt driving. You'd lose your wheels. It would be they'd be impounded. You'd lose your license, right? They'd suspend your license in Ontario anyway. So that's what would happen. A little bug. You see it? Did you see it? Flew past me. I think it was bug. Anyway, that's the story. That's if it doesn't matter where you're from. If you break the law here, you get held accountable by the law here. All right. And have you worked in York Region? So I worked for the Toronto Police, not York Region. I've worked on projects in York Region, but I was never an officer employed by York Region, if that makes sense. Joint service stuff, attended events in uniform in York Region, launches for the RIDE program, and things of that nature. Okay. It's only a bicycle when it's convenient for them. We're talking about e-bikes. Very often, the definitions of what people want to consider. Yeah. Oh, Jose says, "Where is this streaming? I'm all alone here." He says, "I'm VRO. I'm in school right now." Oh, good for you. He says, "Why?" Well, he was trying to figure out why I haven't responded, because this is multi-streaming on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. And Instagram just is less busy at the moment, mostly because everyone's in school. Let's see here. Dino. Everyone got the Dino thing. Yes, many people there. Time to get your winter tires on. Not quite yet, but getting close. Lucifer likes my comment about Fluffy getting paying the sacrifice for thing. Defund. Oh, Psy. What? Psy has an interesting flag and opinion. He says, "Defund TPS, 100% waste of tax dollars." Psy is silly and doesn't even understand. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're just, well, we won't get into it. I'm not going to give you the time of day. But yeah, defund the police is silly. Let's see here. Why are parking enforcement officers so redundant? I've gotten so many false parking tickets. When you say false parking tickets, what do you mean? Generally speaking, you get parking tickets for parking illegally. You got lots of them. It's probably because you park illegally a lot. Just saying. Okay, moving along. Boom, boom, boom. By the way, I'll be back tomorrow on Tuesday night for another one of these, because we do them Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. That's a thing. Also, if you have dad jokes, drop them in the comments so I can read them aloud at the end of the show, which is coming up because we're already over an hour. SS says, are you allowed to go 10 over on any highway? The answer is no, you may not go 10 over on any highway. You may not go 10 over because the law says there's a speed limit, and the speed limit is the limit, not a suggestion, not a starting point, not a thing to do other than follow. It's not to surpass. So 10 over is not legal. Yeah, it's the maximum. So if you go 10 over, you're eligible for a ticket. Will you get ticketed? You might not. Plain emergency vehicle. You got your name got, oh, wait. If I hover, is it going to cooperate? Spotter. Plane / emergency vehicle / no, there's no more slashes. Anyway, it says, hey, Sean. Hey, back at you. Dreamweave says, can cops demand info on my passenger? Only if they have committed an offense. If they're being investigated for a Highway Traffic Act offense or a criminal offense, then yes. But just because, no. Why is my notes app keep opening up? I do not know. Okay. Do you still ride motorcycles? I have not ridden since my collision. Not because I don't feel like I'd love to do that again, but because my family's a little stressed out ever since my crash and thinking that I was going to not come home that day from the hospital. They've got a little bit of anxiety about me riding, and I respect that. So I've decided to park the bike until they're old enough to, and specifically speaking about my kids, till they're old enough to not need me around. And while they may argue that I always need me around, I need to know that they are self-sufficient before I take things that are ultimately risky, meaning motorcycles. I fully expect to ride again, just when they're able to sustain life on their own. Tyler Lozen or Lozon says, where are you located? I am in Toronto, which is Ontario, which is in Canada. That is where I talk about stuff and things. I'm going to add a Canadian flag to the show. I totally need to do that. Oh, Tracy says, wait, I muted Cy. How is he still there? He is there only because my feed keeps the stuff, but I'm glad you muted him. That's why I didn't get any new stuff. It was old messages. John says, please answer, can I park in no parking zones? We talked about that. Levy says, very commonly in downtown Toronto, I've been falsely ticketed. I've paid and stayed in parking. Interesting. Stayed in the parking boundary and still got ticketed. I appealed it and still haven't heard back. What is this on private property? Is this where? Lucifer wants to know what bike I have. My personal bike is a Honda Valkyrie Interstate. Although I must say, after riding the Harleys in the Motor Squad, I really would like to get a Harley. So I plan to sell my Valkyrie because it's not fun anymore and it's just sitting rotting in the garage. So that's kind of the plan. John says he missed the answer. So the answer is, with an accessible permit, you can park in no parking signs, but in no parking street parking. Like if you have a no parking on the road, you can park there, but you can't park in no stopping or no standing zones. More information about that is available in the City of Toronto. Now, granted, it is the City of Toronto that I'm referring to in this situation, and every jurisdiction has the right to make their own rules. So whenever you're visiting, like I went to London, Ontario, I have an accessible permit. I looked it up and made sure that they have the same policy, which they do. And I found it to be in most places. The idea is that someone who cannot walk great distances still should be able to go to places. Thus, they make it legal. Okay. Any dad jokes? Dad jokes. I'm looking for dad jokes. Let's see here. No, I don't have any dad jokes. I have the title of dad joke from Akela Draconis. Maybe he sent some dad jokes to the chat. If you're interested in joining us on Telegram, you can go to telegram.trafficcop.ca, and I have dad jokes there because Akela types them there. Let me go into the Telegram and see if he put anything there. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's one from September 17th. Dad joke. A kindergarten class went on a field trip to the local police station. A police officer started showing them around. She stopped in front of a most wanted poster and explained how citizens often help to lead criminal arrests. Are those photos of the bad guys? Asked one student. Yes, said the police officer soberly. Well, said the kid, why didn't you just keep track of them after you took their photos? Okay. That's actually pretty funny. I like it. Shivoy wants to know about speaking more on driving slowly. Whatever do you mean? Like not speeding? What would you like to know about driving slowly? You want to know why you should drive legally? Like the background, the history of it? Like what are you looking for, Shivoy? Automotive Addiction says, I have a small Suzuki C90, never had a license, had lots of bikes, no licenses, been parked for 4 years at my dad's. Oh, it's my dad's bike. Get a license. It's a serious offense to drive without a license. You're not insured if you drive without a license. I get it. If it's on private property, you can do whatever you want there. But if you're going to ride, get a license. It's a fun course. I would suggest taking the course. Melvin Sir says, got a 5.9. Oh, I got a 59 and a 40. Camera is aimed shortly after the 60 sign. Got notice 4 months got noticed 4 months after. How would I fight? Okay, so you got an automated enforcement camera for doing 19 over, 19 over, and it's aimed shortly after the 60 sign. I'm not following. You're saying 60 ends? You got a ticket for doing. So your statement doesn't make sense. If the speed limit drops from 60 to 40, and you are still doing 60 or 59 when you pass the sign that says begins, you are guilty. What else can we talk about in that particular situation? Help me understand. Let's see here. Chavoy says a friend of mine was giving a ticket for it. Okay, your friend got a ticket for speeding. Tell your friend not to speed. It's not safe. It's not legal. Don't do it. It's bad. I don't know what to tell you about it. What would you like to know about speeding? Other than the fact that it kills? Speeding does kill. Funny as F says, hello, my current license is expired and I had a ticket from last year. Do I need to start the whole process? If you've been expired for a year, you can go and pay and reinstate it as long as you qualify. Yeah, just go and take care of it. More than 3 years, I think you need an eye test. It also depends on what status, like what, did you have a full license? Because a full license, you have 3 years. Is it a learner's permit that expired? That's different. You may have to retest again in order to renew. And Funny says, I was driving without a license. It expired in July. Yeah, go right away. Don't drive it. You are not insured when you are not licensed. If you borrow a car or you have a car, your insurance company will deny any claim against you. It may cover the liability for the vehicle if you've kept up to date, but you and your vehicle would not be covered because you're not licensed. They don't insure unlicensed drivers. Ali says, can you talk about why there's not surveillance cameras on the highways? There's cameras on the highways, but they're not surveillance cameras. They're cameras to be able to identify crashes and deploy response vehicles, but they're not recorded from my understanding. And they're certainly not of a resolution where they can do anything other than say, yup, there's a car on fire over there. That's about all they can do. Let's see here. Sir, I know where that is in Newmarket. There's a sign that says 60, but camera set to 40. Well, if that's the situation, if the sign says 60 and it's set to 40 and the camera takes a picture at 40, obviously you have a defense for that. Now, all cameras seem to be being squashed or removed. So if you have a camera ticket and everything's going bye-bye because the Premier of Ontario says he's going to remove it, I imagine all tickets related to it will probably have the same situation. Wait for a response. Don't assume it's gone. Follow up with it in a few months. Funny as F says, I moved here from the U.S., so full license. Cool. Yeah, but you got a Canadian license now. You did switch your U.S. license to Ontario license when you moved here. That's important to know. My license was transferred. Cool. So you have a full license. Yeah, just go and renew it, renew it quickly. You don't want problems. Mr. Twig says, morning, Sean and everyone. Former Real VR here. Morning, Melvin, sir. Good morning, Mr. Twig. I thank you for reminding me of your former Real VR name because that helps me put all the stuff, my long-term versus short-term. It's amazing how I totally know who you are, even though you've told me this before. But I didn't twig on the twig. I didn't recognize. So thank you for reminding me. Moving along. Oh, interesting. Tracy, you saw a comment from your feelings there. I didn't see it, so I appreciate you covering it. Oh, interesting. So they're talking about plate covers, and you're saying they're illegal, and they are saying, no, they're not illegal. I fought it and won. Nice try. No, just because you fought it and won doesn't mean they're not illegal. They can just side with you and say, benefit of the doubt, we're going to dismiss it. We're going to be nice to you, hugs and kisses. But covering your license plate is illegal according to the law. And whether a JP decides to dismiss a case doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that it's not illegal. It's still illegal to obstruct your plate. Was it tinted? Was it cleared? Did the officer have a good handle of the language that he used to testify? Because at the end of the day, they have to articulate themselves. So you could have an officer that didn't do a good job at articulating their position as to why the ticket was written. So I could write you a ticket for obstructed plate. And if I go to court and I say, I wrote him a ticket because his plate was obstructed. And the other side says, well, how is it obstructed? And I say, I don't know. I don't have any evidence to that. Well, that's dismissed because of lack of evidence, not because it's not illegal. if I go to court and I say, good afternoon, your worship, I issued a plate on this date and time. I was traveling here. The sun was there. I was unable to read the plate based on the reflection of the plastic cover that caused an obstruction, making it unable to identify the vehicle marker at a distance. Clearly, the Highway Traffic Act states that you must not obscure or prohibit the reading, and go on. And so I'm trying to say is the testimony makes a difference. It doesn't make it more or less legal as an activity. It's whether or not the game of testimony is good. I got really good at testifying. I could articulate my position, and I made copious notes. Not all officers do that. You sometimes get away with it because of that. But to say it's not illegal is not accurate. So, yeah. What do they say? Facts don't care about your feelings. Original Corey says maybe cops' glasses were dirty. Truth is, you can't put anything on top. Period. Lucifer. Oh, thank you very much, Lucifer, who is asking for specifications as to where in the Highway Traffic Act it says that you can obstruct your plate. TG wants to know if it's okay to leave large packages on passenger seat. Will I get a ticket? It could be an insecure load inside your vehicle. Could it be something that... So insecure load doesn't only deal with items that could become dislodged from the vehicle from the outside. I think that crowding, having the package simply there isn't an issue. Is it obscuring or interfering with your ability to safely operate the vehicle? It could become an issue for you if you're driving and you get into a collision and it suddenly, lands on you. That can be bad. But I'm working through this live, as you may have noticed. I don't think I would charge anyone for having it there, and I've had packages there too. It's just a matter of whether or not it could become an issue. Now, if it became dislodged from your vehicle, like a pickup truck bed, that's an absolute ticket. That's different. Okay. Does any province send text messages for unpaid tickets? My buddy got a text. No, it's a scam. And if you questioned it, like if you think it could be real, follow up from an official number. Don't call it or use the link. Tim says, I had a plate surround that looked like chain link fence and it only covered my sticker. It's still obscuring. Could potentially. It depends on the officer. Let's see here. Tim says, I was told to remove it now without stickers. It doesn't matter, I guess. It still matters. As long as, technically speaking, you can't cover any portion of the plate. Now, some people have said, well, it doesn't cover the word Ontario, so it's okay. If it covered Ontario, clearly that would be an issue. I wouldn't have an issue if I could clearly identify the vehicle as an Ontario plate. But I'll tell you something that is interesting, and I don't think many people are keying into this. If you cover all edges of it, if you can't identify it as an actual plate, there are people putting plastic 3D printed ones in. There are people who are putting paper plates under clear lenses. There's a lot of people doing a lot of interesting things. And that's why, there's so much more enforcement of it right now. Okay, moving along. Lucifer says, personal thoughts on why the reasons why traffic is getting worse. I'm blaming Ford's projects all at once. I think we have a lot of problems. We have terrible drivers. We have a lot of people. We have a lot of construction that is just narrowing lanes and providing less room for vehicles. The fact that people speed, people are distracted, people aren't focused on driving. I think all those things contribute to it. There's the bike lanes that have basically narrowed commuter paths, and people say, well, no, it doesn't do it. No, they absolutely have bottleneck traffic everywhere. But construction is probably the number one that's a problem. We have what is it? Winter, 2 seasons, winter and construction. So none of those are good for traffic. When are we supposed to install winter tires? When the temperature hovers around +7. That's when you start making the change. Bike lanes are traffic issues with construction permit. I like that, Dave. I think you're right. Sarah says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Good to have you back. You unfortunately jumped in late in the game, and I'm just about to wrap. I'll be back on Sunday. That is, no, it's not. I'm not going to be back Sunday. I'll be back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. To do this all again. And then we do it again next Wednesday. So 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights and 10 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. All right. With that, I am getting out of here. Have a great day. Drive safe, park legally, be good to your neighbor, or they'll probably pee on your lawn. Just saying. Just be nice to each other. We'd be so much further ahead if we were all good to each other. Just saying. Would you pull over a rider on his DRZ 400 in the snow? I don't even know what a DRZ 400 is. All right, Sarah, we'll see you Tuesday. Hasta luego, mi amigas. Amigos. Amigam. I have to go back and do some more Duolingo. I'm screwing that up. Have a good one.